Everyone, welcome to the show. So, we now have proof, definitive proof, that voters were completely checked out on the election. This is so infuriating. I'm wondering how many of these people were Democrats who just had no clue what was going on and just completely checked out, didn't bother to get off their couches and vote. I also want to share with you some concerns I have about the election results. So, first, let's talk about this news that just has had me bewildered, shaking my head for days now. Remember when Joe Biden dropped out of the race? Remember that? Like all the way back in July, 3.5 months ago, essentially. So, yeah, well, last week, the week of the election, Google showed a spike in traffic for people searching the term, "Did Joe Biden drop out?" Oh my God. Are you kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me right now? On what planet do these people live? That's what I want to know. Like, is the weather nice there? Because maybe I'd like to go. I'm thinking I'd like to travel to this planet where you can just be completely checked out on what's going on in the world. If there is a planet, I bet it's called like Head Up Uranus or something. I don't know, because that's where these people have been. Seriously. And check this out. So on November 3rd and 4th, the 2 days prior to the election, Google searches also jumped for the term, "Who is running for president?" and "When is the last day to vote?" This is why we can't have nice things. What the actual fuck? I don't know what to say anymore. This is insane. I mean, I get checking out in a normal election, right? If this was Mitt Romney running against Kamala Harris or Joe Biden, but we're talking about Trump. We are talking about one of the two nominees who is a convicted felon, an adjudicated sexual assaulter who literally tried to commit a coup the last time he was in office. A guy who stole some of our most highly classified documents that our government holds and then allegedly obstructed justice when they tried to get those documents back. And these people don't know who's running against him? They don't know who's in the race in general? Oh my God, we are so doomed. With this level of ignorance, this lack of interest, we are just doomed. So let's hope that Trump's policies affect those people the most, because maybe, just maybe, they're going to wake up. Maybe they'll start giving a damn. I also wanted to circle back on something that I mentioned right after the election. So you guys remember there was an NBC News report saying that numerous bomb threats were called into polling places and ballot counting facilities. This was on election day. And they all now, we're finding out, targeted, or almost all, Democratic counties. How convenient, huh? And as I mentioned, the day after the election, those facilities were evacuated because they didn't know if those threats were credible or not. It ended up they were not, but how many voters didn't bother to stick around, right? I mean, as I said, a lot of people had to get back to work. Maybe they were off on their break or on their lunch hour, or they had kids to pick up from school, or a babysitter. How many people were too terrified to go back in? So, I mean, there could have been thousands and thousands of people who didn't vote because of those bomb threats. And, how many had already waited in line a long time? Right? And then they're thinking, oh, great, now we got to get back in line, and now we got to wait all over again. So anyway, check out this. This is an abbreviated list that was compiled by NBC of all of the polling locations that were called or had these bomb threats emailed in. As you can see, The vast majority were made in areas that Biden won in 2020. But here's the thing, and hear me out on this, guys. You all know I am not a conspiracy theorist. I do not want to sound like the MAGA wingnuts on the right. But we on the left, I believe, have far more reason to be suspicious than they did, right? They had no basis to claim election fraud. But consider this. We know for a fact that Trump allies illegally accessed Dominion voting machines after the 2020 election. I mean, Attorney Sidney Powell, Georgia election officials, Colorado County Clerk Tina Peters, they've all been charged. They've been charged with crimes for their part in the breach of voting equipment. And that's just a few of the people who've been hit with charges. And it happened in other states as well. So it happened in Ohio, Pennsylvania, Nevada, Michigan. What do you know? All battleground states that Trump won this time. And back in 2023, and this happened in December of last year, almost 24 computer scientists, election security experts, and voting advocacy groups, they all got together and they put together this letter. They sent it to the Justice Department asking for a federal investigation. And they warned of the risk to the 2024 election because of those breaches. So their letter, just to read you a part of it, it said, quote, "The multi-state effort to unlawfully obtain copies of voting system software poses serious threats to election security and national security and constitutes a potential criminal conspiracy of enormous consequences." And as the Associated Press wrote, these experts warned that, quote, "possession of voting system software could enable people with ill intent to practice how to meddle in the 2024 election, allowing them to identify vulnerabilities and test potential attacks." So here's my concern. What if those bomb threats were just a distraction, right? What we kept hearing after all of these breaches came to light is that in some of these cases, there were warnings that were issued, or actually maybe all of them, that, bad actors could take that information that they gleaned from these machines that they broke into, and they could figure out ways where you could put some code on a flash drive, insert it into tabulators, and mess with the results of the election. Now, again, I am not a conspiracy theorist, but I don't think it's a big stretch. I don't think it's far-fetched to consider, like I said, what if those bomb threats were just a distraction to get everybody out of the building, and yet maybe someone hung back? I don't know. It's definitely a possibility. It's more realistic than what they were talking about with their ridiculous bamboo ballots and all that BS that they that they threw out there. I mean, they're wild conspiracy theories where there was no basis for it. So I'm just saying, it just struck me as very odd because that Iowa poll has never, ever been off by that much, right? Ann Selzer is a respected pollster for a reason. She has always been considered to be one of the most accurate. So how is it so off? Just seems odd. So anyway, just wanted to posit that, could be nothing. Could be that, just the majority of our country really sucks and that they really love hate and division and racism and all forms of bigotry. And they just think that Donald Trump is a perfect person to help them get what they want, their white ethno state. So we'll see. Anyway, maybe they all just hate women. I don't know. Because he sure as hell isn't offering any policies that are going to get them what they were looking for. But anyway, all right, guys, I will let you know if I hear any more. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Please like, please share, and subscribe. Please donate if you can. Love you all. Take care. Talk with you soon.